Welcome back to 100 Days of Code with Here. My name is Shruti, and in this video, I am going to walk you through week 12 of 100 Days of Code with Here. If you don't have an idea of what 100 Days of Code with Here is, please check the link in the description below. You have links of a blog post to what 100 Days of Code with Here is. Then there are links to other videos like these, which cover previous days of code. There's also a link to blog posts which accompany these videos, as well as a link to the GitHub repository, which has all the code snippets that we've covered so far. So let's begin with day 56. So with day 56, we are going to go back to car routing. And so what we have here is a basic route from point A to point B with a car with the fastest mode of transport, or the fastest mode of routing. And then we have three alternatives, and we have the basic route. And what we want is to avoid traffic. And so the simplest way to do that is you go to the routing API. And when we're talking about mode, if you click on the routing mode type, you'll see that there are more parameters that the routing mode holds. So one is the routing mode, the fastest, balanced, and the shortest. Then there is the transport mode, which is public transport, car, pedestrian, that we've already seen. And then there is the traffic mode. So with the traffic mode, what we're going to do is just simply write traffic, and then you can set it enabled or disabled. So when we do this, what we're saying is please consider the traffic at this point of time and then give me a route. And when you see this, you should see some difference between the routes that have been given. So if you, to give you a small idea, I had ranked these. So this is the green, this is orange, this is yellow, this is red. What it means is that the first route, the first most possible route, or the probable or the favorable route, should be in green, and then followed by orange, yellow, and red. And if you saw, when I had the traffic disabled, this route was the most favorable route that I got. But now if you see, this is the best route that it's giving me. Although it's longer, it looks longer, it has the least traffic at this time. So this is how you can consider traffic. This is how you can avoid traffic jams with the routing API. And that's it for day 56. With day 57, we are going to continue with the avoiding things series that we started a week ago. And so with this, we're going to look at avoiding areas. And so when you're driving from place A to B, or especially when you're taking commercial vehicle, you may want to avoid certain areas. Even for personal driving, sometimes there's a street that you don't really like. It does not have a lot of trees, maybe, or maybe the streets are too narrow and you don't like to drive through that streets. So usually, if you want to plan your route, you want to avoid that area. And to define how to avoid that area, we're going to look at the routing API. So there is a parameter called routing avoid areas, and then the area needs to be described in terms of a bounding box. Now let's take a look at bounding boxes. So what the bounding box that needs to be defined is in the format of top left parameters, so top left latitude and longitude, and the bottom right latitude and longitude. You have taken a look at drawing boxes or circles in the previous days of code. Let's take a look at the drawing a rectangle part. So for a bounding box, what a bounding box looks like is a basic rectangle, right? And I think we've covered drawing a rectangle with the left latitude, top longitude, that kind of a format. Let's take a look at JavaScript vector tiles. And within that, what you have is map objects, and you have geoshapes. So we've looked at drawing circles, drawing rectangles, and for drawing a rectangle, we have taken a look at a different method of drawing a rectangle. Now let's go to the rectangle part. So you have edge dot map, then you have a rectangle. Yes. So yeah, as I was saying, you have the edge dot geo dot rectangle because it's a geo shape. Um, and then you had the top latitude, left longitude. This is how we defined a rectangle the last time. Now, if you scroll a little down here, you'll see that there are different ways to define a rectangle. And one of them, luckily, is the edge geo rectangle from points. Now, if you see, the rectangle from points has the same format that we need for our bounding box. So let's make use of that. Let's make use of the fact that we can reuse sort of this rectangle to define in the bounding box areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this here and start drawing a rectangle. So let's say let rectangle is equal to new edge dot map dot rect, rect, and within that rectangle I want the rectangle to be defined as the rectangle from points. So you have rectangle dot from points as my rectangle. Yeah, and then let's also give it some style, which we will define later. So I have some style for this rectangle, and let's define this later. Now with rectangle from points, if you see the format here is you need this way, sorry. So you need a top left geo I point and bottom right geo I point. And what I point is it needs to have latitude, it needs to have longitude, and then altitude is optional. So you can also specify an altitude for this point. So basically what we want is a position point, right? In terms of latitude and longitude. So let's do that. Let's get us the top left and bottom right latitude and longitude. So now let's see, this route goes to this particular detour, or let's see, what do I select? Okay, let's say I don't want to go through this particular area for no good reason. Yeah, let's select this one. So let's say I don't want to go from this area, and instead I want to, let's say, take this route or something else. So I am going to select the top left. So this is the top left, and then the bottom right, let's see. So I want to say that I want to avoid this particular rectangle. And now we have the latitude and longitude. So I'm just going to copy this. And if you see the methods here, the parameters here, the format is top left geopoint, comma, bottom right geopoint. So the separator is just a comma. So I'm going to add this. And if you remember, this position that we get is directly a geopoint. So I'm going to copy it as it is. And so you have the first point and you have the second point. And in terms of style, so as we saw, you can style um, the rectangle as any other object, map object, like we saw for the circle. So you can have a stroke color. So I'm going to have a stroke color of red because we want this avoid area kind of a rectangle, so why not? And then you can have a fill color, and I'm going to do it an RGB. I'm going to give it an RGBA value. So I'm going to have it as red, but then give it like a transparent sort of a vibe to it. So let's do that. So red is 255, 0, comma 0, and then let's give it a transparency of 0.5, so like 50%, I guess. And now we have a rectangle, but we need to add it to the map. So you have map dot add object, and then you add the rectangle to it. So if you see, you should see this rectangle right here. And this is the rectangle that I want to avoid. Now, the reason you don't usually have to draw this rectangle, the only reason I'm drawing it is to be able to use it to avoid the rectangle in the next day. So that was it for day 57. For day 58, now we want to avoid this area. And as we had seen, you can have this, let me see. So yeah, as we've seen, you have this parameter called avoid areas, and you can specify avoid area bounding box with top left latitude, top left longitude, top right latitude, and sorry, bottom right latitude and bottom right longitude. And then you can have several boxes separated by an exclamation point. So we are just going to use this. Now you can obviously just add, let's say, let's do this. You can just add avoid areas and just add the latitude and longitude from here. I'm just going to show you another way. I'm just going to personally use another way. So if you were in your application, if you give your user the ability to draw these rectangles out, I'm going to show you how to take the latitude and longitude from the existing rectangle that the user has drawn. So again, if you go to the rectangle class, and we just looked at uh, draw rectangles from points. Now, if you scroll a bit further, you'll see that you can also get the rectangle points, which is already there. So if there's a rectangle which is being drawn by the user, you can get the points or get the coordinates of this rectangle. So you have different methods like get height, get left, get right, which is the way that the rectangle was drawn. So what we want here is we want the top left latitude and longitude, bottom right latitude and longitude. So now if you see top left, so we want get top left, right? We want the point from get top left. And if you see, this is under the get bounding box method. So what I'm going to do is in the avoid area, I'm going to use the rectangle that we drew. So I want the rectangle from before, and for that rectangle, excuse me, this is not a string. Yeah, from the rectangle, I'm going to use get bounding box method. There you go. And from the get bounding box method, I want the get top left. Now if we just print this out, let's, you know what, let's just print this out first. Let's do this. Let's just print this out, and what you're getting is, this is a router, wait, yeah, this is what you're getting this object which has a latitude and longitude, and then it has also the string latitude, like the field names latitude and longitude. But if you see this does not have the string lat and long itself. So we want just these components. We just want the value for latitude and the value for longitude. So let's see this, and there you go, you have what you wanted. So what we want is we want the top left latitude and top left longitude. So I'm going to copy this. Let's do this. Let's uncomment this. And you want the top left latitude. With the comma, you want the top left longitude. And then you want the bottom right latitude. So again, like top left, you also have get bottom right. So it's the same format. Let's just copy this. And I'm going to change it to bottom right. And we need it will not work because we need these are going to be treated as strings. So let's add the comma as a string. Then we need this. Okay, are we missing something here? Yes. So let's add this as a string again. Add this. Okay, I'm going to copy this. This should do the trick. Now let's see. Bottom right is missing. Are we missing these anywhere? So you have get bounding box, top left, and then rectangle get bounding box, bottom right, latitude plus rectangle get bounding box, get bottom right, longitude. Are we missing something here? So let's check our network layer. So this will show you what exactly what are the parameters that I'm sending. It looks fine. So you have this. So I'm sorry. So the way to separate two latitude and longitudes was to separate them with a semicolon, and I'm using a comma. So let's quickly do that. Let's change this to semicolon, and now I should definitely get perfect. So if you can see this particular route that was going through this road has changed its course and avoiding this area clearly. So that was it for day 58. With day 59, again, we are going to continue with the avoiding series. We checked out how to avoid an area. Now, the next in line to avoid, that you can avoid rather, is avoid links. And what that means is when you see any route, so if you see this response that we have, it is divided into legs, right? These routes are divided into different legs, and these legs have different links. So basically it's joining smaller links of roads that turn into road legs. So for example, if this road is starting um, yeah, this road is starting here, and so this would be one leg of the road, this would be one leg of the road, this would be another leg of the road. Now within these legs are also links that you that connect together to form a route leg. Now in normal terms, or in layman terms, what these links would be is just patches of road. And again, like for whatever reasons you would want to avoid a certain road, you would also want to avoid certain areas, you would also want to avoid some specific roads. Maybe the roads are not super good for your vehicle, maybe there are potholes, I don't know, whatever the reasons are, and you would want to avoid those specific road links or patches of roads, right? So with avoid links we can do that. And if you see this, what we need now is a link ID which will be used to identify a patch of the road and then avoid it. So let's get a link ID. Now to get a link ID, we need to first display the link ID. And so what you can do is go to, let's see, you have the representation as display. Then you have route attributes, which can give you legs, which we already have. We have road legs. And then within the leg attributes, you have links. So let's specify that we want, let's get rid of this rectangle first. I don't want to avoid areas anymore. So let's get rid of this. And I want leg attributes, and within the leg attributes, I want links. So let's just type this out. Yeah. Now again, this won't make a difference in the visualization of uh, the route, but let's pull this over. Now if you see the route, you have 4 different routes that we've received. That's fine. You have the leg, and within the leg you have links. Now these links make up the leg of the road. And so you have these links, and then you have the link IDs. And that is what you're going to select to be able to avoid. Now, I am going to randomly select a link. So because it's day 59, let's select this one. Why not? So I'm going to write it here just so that I remember. And this is the link ID that I've retrieved, and I want to avoid this link. So that was it, selecting the link for day 59. With day 60, we are going to avoid this link. Now if you paid attention closely, you would see that it was the route 0, and from the route 0 we randomly selected a link which was number 59, just for us to remember. So what this should do is, after we have used this link to avoid the link, we should see some difference in our route 0, which is the green route, just for this example. So again, with the calculate route, we use the avoid links parameter. There you go. And with the avoid links, we are going to provide this link ID. So again, you can have multiple of them separated. We are going to use one for this example. And now when I save this, I should get some difference with the first route. So as you can see, you get only 2 routes. It might have been a major portion of the road that we avoided. I mean, basically, if you see, the first route has been completely changed. It avoids the complete link that we gave it, and it has avoided that link. So that was it for day 60. If you want to read a blog version of this solutions video, if you are in for puns and really bad jokes, go to the link in the description and read the blog for solutions for days 56 to 60. You'll find that on our blog page, which is developer.your.com/blog. You can keep following 100 Days of Code on our Twitter handle @yourdev. That is where we keep posting tasks for every day, and also we reply to the tasks with mini videos, sort of 20-second fast videos, small videos of these solutions. And then you can also just download or clone our repository on GitHub, which has all the code snippets we've used so far. So if you want to start from today, or you just want the code as help, maybe you can just download it and use it. So keep following us on Twitter, keep following 100 Days of Code with Here, and keep coding.